You've probably heard the phrase, comparison is the thief of joy. And that is very much the case if you're neurodivergent, and we do a lot of comparison. But there is another thief in the house, and its name is perseverative thinking. This is a phenomenon that is particularly pervasive among neurodivergents, and it refers to worrying about the future, ruminating about the past, and obsessing, often all at once, about the same thing. This goes on sometimes out of our own consciousness in the background of our mind. It spins up, worrying about something, catastrophizing about something happening in the future, fixating on uncertain situations, ambiguous emotional encounters, something where you don't know what the outcome is, something where you wish you'd done something differently and you're not happy with the outcome, and you keep replaying the thing that happened and imagining a different scenario, and there's no relief, right? Because the mind is locked in and it keeps doing this over and over and over again, despite your more mindful self saying, this isn't an issue, I don't need to worry about it. It gets you all keyed up. It spins your psyche into a state of alarm and hypervigilance and worry, and it translates in your body in the form of anxiety, and then sometimes it's just flat out depression, or both at the same time. And you might even be conscious of this happening, but powerless to stop it. It's like a neurological process that operates of its own will, and it isn't receptive to your feedback or to you saying anything to try to counsel it. Although a lot of the times dealing with perseverative thinking does require that kind of higher order thinking, self-reflection, and internal dialogue, it's hard. It's like combating a very entrenched part of your brain that wants to continue with doing this, and it perceives itself as helping you. By perseverating, it's avoiding future catastrophe. It's safeguarding you against some perceived danger or threat. It's holding you to account for something that's gone wrong that you can fix in the future. And often accompanied by this perseveration is a tyrannical inner critic who's lashing you and telling you should have done this differently, and you failed, and how could you let this happen? You can't let this happen again. And on loop, on repeat, sometimes for hours, days, even weeks. It creates this internal state of turmoil that you feel powerless to shake off, and you might want to move on with your day. You might want to let go of this looping thought pattern, but your brain is still insisting on doing this, regardless of what your needs are or what your desires are. Coming back from that, it's hard. Again, it's a neurological process that we have little control over, it, at least in my experience, having lived with this. But what you can do is you can self-soothe. You can be cognizant of what's going on. You can go, oh, I know this is what's going on. Let's talk with it. Let's dialogue with this part of myself that's worrying. Let's console it, reassure it, let it know that you've got the matter in hand, that you can deal with it. Whatever the source of anxiety, you're going to move forward. And then writing down a plan for yourself, for your own reference, to get it out of your head and onto the paper so that you're not looping these thoughts. You're putting them down on paper, journaling about it if that helps, developing a plan of action moving forward so that you can reassure your mind that it doesn't need to fixate on this thing because you've addressed it, the underlying concern. And then moving forward. But even with that approach, even with that solution, it's fair to expect that because of perseverative thinking, a lot of emotional or emotive experiences are protracted. They go a lot longer than you would expect because the brain keeps looping. So anxiety, depression, rage, grief, sadness, loss, anything that, let's say neurotypicals might be able to process in what's considered a reasonable amount of time, it might take us a little bit longer because the brain is stuck in gear and it keeps repeating and looping the thought processes about this particular subject. I've had clients where they're like, shouldn't I be over this by now? Why am I still, obsessing about this? Assuming they even become aware that perseverative thinking is at play, because a lot of the times they might not, because their brain has convinced them that something is a danger, something is a source of concern or anxiety, that they have to fixate on it. When they do become aware of it, they're like, oh yeah, like this is strange that I'm obsessing about this. Why haven't I moved on? And the truth is, moving on is very hard with a perseverative mind, because the perseverative mind perseveres in sticking with a specific topic or concern and obsessing about it. Have you struggled with perseverative thinking? How's it shown up in your life? What have you found has been helpful in terms of letting go of that perseverative thought process, or moving forward, or soothing your anxiety, or addressing your depression symptoms that result or tied up with it in some way? I would love to hear all about your experiences.